Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we need to talk about a very specific and really frustrating paradox. I think a lot of you listening are probably going to feel this one in your bones.
We call it the health nuts dilemma.
Right. It's that scenario where you are doing everything correctly.
Mhm.
You've swapped the burger for the kale salad. You're drinking those, expensive green juices that taste a bit like lawn clippings,
Taking the probiotics.
taking the probiotics. But instead of feeling like a superhero, you feel terrible.
Like you're just wading through mud.
Exactly. Sluggish, bloated, you get that brain fog hitting you like a freight train around 2 p.m. And the standard advice is always the same, right? Eat cleaner, drink more water.
Maybe try yoga.
But our research stack today suggests that clean eating, or at least the way most of us are doing it, might actually be the scene of a crime.
A crime against your own internal ecosystem.
Yeah. We're diving into a stack of sources that includes toxicology reports on herbicides, some deep microbiome research, and these clinical nutrition protocols from Nova Southeastern University. And we're trying to figure out why your healthy diet might be accidentally starving your gut.
And how an invisible environmental toxin, specifically glyphosate, is waging, biological warfare on your mitochondria.
It sounds so traumatic, biological warfare.
It does, but when you look at the actual data on how these chemicals interact with our cellular machinery, it's quite literal. It's a battle for territory inside your own body.
So the mission today is to connect the dots between the weed killer on your food, the bacteria in your gut, and the energy or lack of it in your cells. And the good news is we do have a protocol to fix it. It's called the RISE method.
Which is great, because I have to say, the first half of this research is a little grim. We've got to wade through the mud before we get to the solution.
It is grim, but necessary. So let's start with a hook that completely reframed this for me. It's this regulatory loophole for glyphosate that basically says it's safe for humans.
Mm-hmm.
And the reasoning is that it targets a specific biological mechanism that humans just don't have.
The Shikimate pathway.
Okay, let's unpack that. Help us visualize the Shikimate pathway without, turning this into a chemistry lecture.
Sure. Think of it like a factory assembly line inside a cell. Plants and bacteria use this line to synthesize essential amino acids, specifically the aromatic ones like tryptophan, tyrosine,
The building blocks.
the absolute building blocks of proteins and neurotransmitters.
So plants have this factory, bacteria have this factory, but humans do not.
Correct. We don't
Okay.
build them, we have to get them from our food. So the regulatory logic seems simple. Glyphosate breaks the machinery in that Shikimate factory. Since we don't have the factory, the chemical should just pass right through us. No harm, no foul.
It's like a key that doesn't fit our lock.
Exactly.
But, and this is a massive but that really drives this whole deep dive, we aren't just human cells walking around.
No. We're a superorganism. We're a host walking around with, trillions of bacteria in our gut. And the research highlights a bioinformatics study that found 54% of the core species in the human gut microbiome do have the Shikimate pathway.
54%. That's more than half the team.
It is. So when regulators say it's safe for humans, what they're doing is looking at human cells in isolation. They're ignoring the trillions of microbial roommates that run our digestion, our immune system, our mood.
So when we ingest glyphosate residues, even at levels considered safe,
We aren't poisoning our human cells directly, no. But we are absolutely nuking our microbiome.
we're effectively taking a low-dose antibiotic with every single meal.
That is a very, very accurate way to put it. You're constantly suppressing the population.
And it's not just random destruction, is it?
Yeah.
The sources point out this cruel irony about who gets killed and who survives.
This is the pathogen advantage. The bacteria that are most sensitive to glyphosate, the ones that really rely on that Shikimate pathway, are the beneficial ones. We're talking Lactobacillus, Bifidobacterium, the ones you see on your yogurt label.
The ones you pay money for in supplements.
Yes.
They die first.
So the peacekeepers are the first to go, and meanwhile, the bad guys.
The opportunistic pathogens like Salmonella and Clostridia, the bugs that cause inflammation, food poisoning, chronic illness, they often have resistance to glyphosate. They have different metabolic pathways. They don't need that specific factory to survive.
So you wipe out the police force, and the gangs just move in.
It's a biological land grab. Nature abhors a vacuum. If the good guys aren't there to defend the real estate on your gut lining, the resistant pathogens take over, they multiply. And that leads to dysbiosis, which is just a fancy word for a microbial community in chaos.
Which explains the bloating, the digestive issues, but I want to get to the sluggishness, because the sources make a jump here that I think is critical for anyone feeling tired all the time.
The gut mitochondria axis. That sounds like a sci-fi alliance.
It essentially is. Your mitochondria are the power plants in your cells. They produce ATP, which is pure energy. But here's the thing. Mitochondria are actually ancient bacteria that made a deal with our cells billions of years ago.
Right.
And because of that shared history, they still talk to the bacteria in your gut.
They're on the same frequency.
Exactly. And they rely on signals from the gut to know how to perform. The sources indicate that when the microbiome is depleted, when you've killed off, that 54% ATP production in your intestinal cells can drop by 40%.
A 40% drop in power. That's a brownout. If my house lost 30% of its power, the lights would be flickering.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And it happens because of something called redox homeostasis.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Let's break that down. Redox is about oxidation, right? Like rust.
In a biological sense, yeah. Think of it this way. Making energy is a dirty process. It creates exhaust fumes called oxidative stress. A healthy microbiome produces antioxidants, things like indolepropionic acid that mop up those fumes. They're the cleaning crew. They keep the engine clean so it can run at high speed.
So if glyphosate kills the cleaning crew,
the fumes build up. Your mitochondria take these oxidative hits. They get damaged. They become inefficient. And when your mitochondria are struggling, you feel tired. You feel that low battery sensation that no amount of coffee can fix.
So the fatigue isn't in your head. It's a supply chain issue that starts in the gut.
Precisely. And it gets worse because there's a cocktail effect we haven't even touched on yet. This is the part of the research that really made me sit up straight.
Oh, right, the coformulants. This part really bothered me. I always assumed when I read a study on glyphosate, they were testing the stuff you buy at the hardware store.
And that is a dangerous assumption. Most safety studies, they test pure glyphosate, just the isolated chemical. But farmers don't spray pure glyphosate, they spray a mixture. They add surfactants, basically industrial soaps, to help the poison stick to the leaves.
And the toxicology reports in our stack say these mixtures are, different?
Drastically different. Some of the data suggests that the coformulants can make the final mixture up to 1,000 times more toxic than the active ingredient alone.
1,000 times?
Yes.
That's not a margin of error. That's a different ballgame.
It is. The surfactants work by making cell membranes more permeable. In plants, that's what kills the weed. In the lab rats in these studies, it can damage cell membranes in the liver. It can lead to necrosis cell death and fatty liver disease.
Even at doses that are technically safe, according to the acceptable daily intake.
That is what the regulatory relevant doses study suggests. We are seeing liver damage and oxidative stress at levels that regulators claim should have no effect. Because the regulators are testing the bullet, but the farmers are firing the whole gun.
Okay, so let's just pause and look at the landscape we've painted. It's pretty bleak. We're eating food with a cocktail of toxins. This cocktail wipes out our good bacteria, lets pathogens take over, stops the cleaning crew from protecting our mitochondria, and potentially damages our liver.
And it leads to leaky gut because we stop producing butyrate, the fuel that keeps the gut wall sealed. So now toxins are leaking into the bloodstream, causing systemic inflammation, which gets to the brain and causes brain fog.
It's a total domino effect. From the salad fork all the way to the brain fog.
It is. But before everyone throws their salad in the trash and gives up, we do have a solution. The sources provided a clinical protocol designed specifically for this mess.
RISE method.
Right. It stands for Reset, Identify, Support, and Excel. It comes from the Clinical Nutrition Program at Nova Southeastern University.
I like this because it's not just take a pill.
Yeah.
It's an order of operations. You can't rebuild a house while it's on fire.
Yeah.
So let's start with phase 1, reset.
The clean sweep. The goal here is to stop the damage and remove the toxic load. Obviously, you try to eat organic to stop adding fuel to the fire, but the really interesting part is biochemical sequestration.
Which is a fancy way of saying trapping the bad stuff.
Exactly. The protocol suggests using binders, things like modified zeolites or activated charcoal.
How do those work? Are they like little sponges?
Think of them more like magnets. They have a negative charge, and a lot of toxins, including heavy metals and some herbicides, have a positive charge. The binder grabs the toxin in the gut and just holds onto it so you excrete it rather than reabsorbing it.
It's literally taking out the trash.
A crucial step, because if you kill the bad bugs but don't bind the toxins they release when they die, you just end up recycling the poison.
There's another hack in the reset phase I found fascinating. Glycine saturation.
This is clever biochemistry. So glyphosate looks very similar chemically to the amino acid glycine. It's a glycine analog.
It's an impossible.
It is. And the body, if it's stressed or maybe nutrient deficient, can make a mistake. It might grab a glyphosate molecule instead of a glycine molecule and try to build a protein with it.
And that results in, what, junk proteins?
Exactly. Misfolded proteins that just don't work. So the strategy is to flood the system with actual glycine.
So it's a numbers game.
Right. If you have 1,000,000 glycine molecules for every one glyphosate molecule, the odds of your body picking the poison just plummet. You crowd out the bad with the good.
Okay, so we're binding toxins and saturating with glycine. That's reset. Phase 2 is identify.
Or don't guess. That's the motto here. The sources heavily emphasize testing, specifically the GI-map DNA stool analysis.
I feel like I'm seeing this test everywhere now. Why is it better than a standard lab test?
Because it uses DNA. Old school tests tried to grow bacteria in a petri dish, but a lot of gut bacteria are anaerobic. They die as soon as they hit oxygen. You can't grow them. DNA testing tells you exactly who is there, even if they're dead or hard to grow.
What are we looking for on that test?
Well, you're looking for that pathogen advantage we talked about. Do you have a Clostridia overgrowth? But more importantly, you're looking for markers like zonulin.
The zonulin sounds like a comic book villain.
It kind of acts like one. Zonulin is a protein that regulates the tight junctions in your gut wall. If zonulin is high, your gut is leaky, the gates are open. Knowing that changes how aggressive you need to be with the repair protocol.
So once you have the map, you move to phase 3, support. This is the rebuilding phase. And the sources use a term here I love, the 3-biotic symphony.
It's a great image. We usually just obsess over probiotics.
Yeah.
But the symphony needs 3 parts: prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics.
Let's break them down. Prebiotics. That's the fertilizer.
Yes. These are the fibers that humans can't digest but our good bacteria love. Garlic, onions, asparagus, bananas. And the sources note that these don't just feed the bugs, they boost mucosal immunity. They actually help your body produce IgA antibodies, the first line of defense in the gut.
Okay, so we feed the army. Now, probiotics, the actual soldiers. The Huel article in our stack had a bit of a hot take here. It basically said, skip the pill, eat the kimchi.
And biologically, that makes a lot of sense. A pill usually has, a few strains of bacteria, often freeze-dried. Fermented foods, sauerkraut, kefir, kimchi, they are living ecosystems. You aren't just getting the bacteria, you're getting the environment they thrived in.
So it's like transplanting a little patch of forest instead of just planting a single tree.
Exactly. However, the RISE protocol does mention one specific type of supplement for people who are really damaged: spore-based probiotics.
These are the bacillus strains, right? What makes them so special?
Resilience. Most standard probiotics die in your stomach acid. It's a gastric fire down there. They just burn up. Spore-based strains have a hard shell. They survive the acid, reach the intestines intact, and then they hatch. They are like the special forces dropped behind enemy lines.
So we have fertilizer, we have soldiers. What are postbiotics?
The medicine. Postbiotics are the compounds the bacteria produce when they eat the fiber, and the superstar here is butyrate.
We keep coming back to butyrate.
Because it's the currency of gut health. Butyrate is what actually tells your mitochondria to repair themselves. It triggers mitochondrial biogenesis. It seals the gut wall. It's the payoff for all the other work.
So you can take all the probiotics you want, but if they aren't making butyrate, you're not actually fixing the energy crisis.
Correct. And there's a dietary hack to boost this that I love because it involves potatoes. It's called resistant starch.
This is the cooled potato trick.
It sounds too simple to work, but the chemistry is solid. If you cook a potato or rice and eat it hot, it's mostly just glucose. Spikes your blood sugar. But if you cool it down in the fridge for 24 hours, the molecular structure actually changes. It retrogrades.
It becomes indigestible to us.
Right. It bypasses your stomach and goes straight to the colon, where it becomes a feast for your bacteria. They ferment it and produce massive amounts of butyrate.
So potato salad is actually a superfood.
If it's made with cooled potatoes, yes. The study they mentioned showed that resistant starch intake actually facilitated weight loss by reshaping the microbiota.
And one last dietary tip from the stack. Polyphenols.
The dark pigments, blueberries, dark chocolate, these act as mitochondrial uncouplers.
In English, please.
Think of your mitochondria like a car engine. Sometimes they run witch and produce a lot of smoke. That's oxidative stress. Polyphenols help vent that smoke. They make the energy production cleaner, reducing the damage to the cell.
So the prescription is eat cooled potatoes, lots of kimchi, and dark chocolate.
I've definitely heard worse medical advice.
That brings us to the final phase, Excel. This is about sustainability. How do we keep this newly repaired engine running?
We have to look outside the fridge. We have to look at lifestyle, specifically sleep and stress.
We all know sleep is good for us, but the study on sleep deprivation and the microbiome was startling.
It showed that just 2 nights of partial sleep deprivation can significantly alter the gut flora. It decreases the good guys and increases the bacteria associated with weight gain and insulin resistance.
So you can undo a whole week of good eating with just a weekend of bad sleeping.
It's a bidirectional relationship. Bad gut bugs ruin your sleep, and bad sleep ruins your gut bugs. You have to break that cycle.
And stress.
Stress is a digestion killer. Biologically, when you're stressed, you're in fight or flight. Your body diverts blood flow away from the gut to your muscles.
Because you don't need to digest a sandwich if you're running from a tiger.
Exactly. But if you're chronically stressed, running from deadlines, from emails, your gut never gets the blood flow it needs. The protocol suggests just 10 minutes of rest and digest, activation, deep breathing, meditation before meals.
It's not just woo-woo relaxation. It's mechanically opening the blood vessels to your stomach.
Precisely. And the final rule for the Excel phase is the diversity rule. Aim for 30 different plants per week.
30 sounds like a part-time job.
It sounds daunting, but herbs, spices, nuts, and seeds all count. A sprinkle of flax, a dash of cinnamon, some cilantro. That's 3 right there.
And why 30?
Because a diverse ecosystem is a resilient one. If you have a monoculture in your gut, just a few species, one exposure to glyphosate or an antibiotic can wipe the whole thing out. If you have a rainforest, it can take a hit and bounce back.
Now, before we wrap this up, there is a warning in the RISE protocol that I think is really important. Because if someone listens to this and starts doing everything tomorrow, they might actually feel worse at first.
The Herxheimer reaction?
The die-off.
Yes. When you start sequestering toxins and killing off those opportunistic pathogens, they don't go quietly. As they die, they release endotoxins, and it causes a temporary spike in inflammation.
So you might get a headache, fatigue, maybe some flu-like symptoms.
Usually for 3 to 7 days. It's unpleasant, but the source frames it as a positive sign. It means the protocol is working. You're evicting the squatters.
So don't panic. Push through it.
Stay hydrated, keep the binders going to mop up the mess, and it will pass.
So let's bring this all together. We started with the idea that we're eating clean, but feeling terrible.
Because we're unwittingly consuming a cocktail of glyphosate and surfactants that target our microbiome's shikimate pathway.
This wipes out our internal workforce, leading to a pathogen takeover, a drop in mitochondrial energy, and a leaky gut.
And the fix is the RISE method. Reset with binders and glycine. Identify with DNA testing. Support with the 3 biotics, Symphony prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics.
And finally, excel by protecting your sleep and managing your stress to keep that ecosystem thriving. It really shifts the perspective. Food isn't just fuel, it's information.
It is. And that leads to a concept we stumbled upon in the research notes that I can't stop thinking about. Mitochondrial precession.
What does that mean in this context?
We often think of diet as something we do for us, to fit into our genes or to build muscle. But the sources suggest we're actually eating to signal our mitochondria. We're telling them either to burn clean or to burn dirty, to repair or to degrade.
We're the signal callers.
But here's the kicker. If 54% of your gut bacteria are supposed to be helping generate that signal, and you wipe them out with environmental toxins, who is sending the message?
That is a haunting thought. Who's driving the bus?
It might be the pathogens. And they don't have your best interests in mind. They want sugar. They want inflammation. They want chaos.
Well, now that we know how to take the wheel back, that's a little less terrifying and a lot more empowering. Thanks for guiding us through this deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Check your labels, let those potatoes cool down, and remember, you're eating for trillions. We'll see you next time.